The evening air carried the scent of garlic and fresh basil through the upscale Italian restaurant, as crystal glasses clinked softly against white tablecloths, and the warm glow of Edison bulbs cast amber shadows across the exposed brick walls while Miguel moved between tables with quiet efficiency, his dark eyes focused on his work as he cleared plates and reset silverware with careful attention. If you believe, dignity should never be a punchline. Like, share, and subscribe. Miguel had been working at Romano's Bistro for 6 months, taking the bus 90 minutes each way from his apartment where he lived, with his grandmother sending money back to his family in Guatemala while attending community college classes in the morning and working nights to pay for books and tuition. Table 12 was occupied by 4 men in expensive suits, corporate types. Celebrating some deal, they'd closed their laughter, growing louder with each bottle of wine. And when Miguel approached to clear their appetizer plates, the ringleader placed a folded $100 bill on the table. "Hey, buddy," the man said with a smirk that made Miguel's stomach tighten. "I'll give you this 100 if you can answer 3 questions about American history, since you're probably trying to get your citizenship or whatever," and his friends erupted in laughter. The nearby tables went quiet, guests suddenly very interested in their pasta, and the hostess by the front looked uncomfortable but didn't move. And the waiter assigned to that section actually paused. Mid-step saw what was happening, but continued walking past. Miguel felt his face flush hot, his hands gripping the tray of dirty dishes tighter, and he took one slow breath through his nose, meeting the man's eyes with a level gaze that said, "I see exactly who you are." "Sir, I'm just here to do my job," Miguel said quietly, his English accented but clear, his voice steady despite the trembling in his hands. "But if you need anything else, I'll send your server over." And he turned to leave with as much dignity as he could gather. But the man wasn't done, his voice rising deliberately. "Come on, don't be sensitive. It's just a game. Or are you afraid you'll get the answers wrong? Maybe they don't teach real history where you're from." And his friends laughed again. Then a door opened, not the main entrance, but the back office door, and the sound of dress shoes on hardwood came quick and purposeful. And every head in the restaurant turned to see Marcus Romano himself, third-generation owner, and his face was carved from stone. Marcus had been reviewing security footage in his office, the cameras that covered every angle of his restaurant, and he'd seen everything, heard everything through the audio system, and what he'd witnessed made his blood boil. "Gentlemen," Marcus said, and the single word carried enough weight to stop conversations 3 tables away, enough ice to freeze wine in glasses. "I'm going to need you to settle your bill and leave my establishment immediately. And you're not welcome back." The slicked hair man's expression morphed from smug to shocked in an instant, his mouth opening to protest. "Now wait a minute. We're paying customers. We didn't do anything wrong. We were just having a little fun." But Marcus cut him off with a raised hand, his voice carrying across the dining room so everyone could hear. "Fun," Marcus said, his tone sharp enough to cut glass. "You think humiliating my employee is fun? Let me tell you something about Miguel that you didn't bother to learn before you turned him into your punchline." Marcus walked over to Miguel, placing a hand on his shoulder with genuine affection. "This young man works 2 jobs, attends college full-time with a 3.9 GPA, supports his grandmother, and sends money to his family, speaks 3 languages fluently, and has more integrity in his little finger than the 4 of you combined." The restaurant was completely silent now. Every guest frozen, every server stopped mid, all eyes on this confrontation that had become something more aligned being drawn. A stand being taken. Marcus wasn't finished, his voice growing stronger. "My grandfather came to this country with nothing but a recipe book and a dream and people like you." Mocked his accent, questioned his right to be here, made him prove himself 1,000 times. He gestured toward the door with finality. "Your bill is comped because I don't want your money. I don't want your business. And if you're not out of my restaurant in 60 seconds, I'm calling the police." The transformation was instant. The 4 men scrambled to their feet, their swagger completely evaporated, replaced by the red-faced shame of being publicly called out, of having their cruelty exposed in front of dozens of witnesses. As they stumbled toward the exit, Marcus called out one more time, "And gentlemen, I am going to be sharing the security footage with your company. I saw your business cards. I'm sure your employers would love to know how their executives behave in public." The moment the door closed behind them, the restaurant erupted in applause, a sound that started scattered and grew into something powerful. And Miguel stood there stunned, tears streaming down his face as his coworkers surrounded him with hugs. Marcus pulled Miguel aside, his voice gentle now, private. I've been watching you for months, watching how hard you work, how you treat everyone with respect, and I want to offer you something. He reached into his pocket and pulled out a business card, but this one was different, had Miguel's name printed on it, under the title Junior Soul's Chef, and Miguel's hands shook as he took it. I talked to our head chef last week, Marcos Contino. We want to sponsor your culinary training, pay for your courses at the Institute downtown. Give you a real kitchen experience here while you learn, and when you graduate, you'll have a full position waiting. Miguel couldn't speak, could only nod as tears fell freely, as his grandmother's prayers felt answered, as years of struggle and sacrifice suddenly transformed into opportunity, into hope, into the moment when someone saw his worth. The other servers gathered around. Bread, though. One who'd walked past looking, particularly ashamed, and he approached Miguel with genuine remorse. "Man, I'm sorry I didn't step up. That was cowardly." And Miguel simply said, "We all make choices. What matters is what we do next time." The elderly couple at table 7 called Miguel over before they left, pressing a folded 50 into his hand with a note that read, "For your books, you're going to do great things." Marcus made an announcement to the entire restaurant, his voice carrying pride. "Ladies and gentlemen, I want you all to meet Miguel Reyes, our newest culinary team member, and I hope you'll all come back to taste his cooking someday soon." The applause that followed was different now. Not just support, but celebration. Not just sympathy, but genuine excitement for watching someone's dream come true. That night, after service ended, Marcus sat with Miguel in the empty dining room and told him stories about his grandfather, about facing discrimination, about the power of standing up, about how the best revenge is succeeding beyond anyone's comprehension. Sometimes the cruelest moments become the most transformative, not because of the cruelty itself, but because someone with power chose to wield it righteously, chose to defend instead of ignore, chose to elevate instead of protect their bottom line. Don't ever let anyone reduce you to their punchline. Don't ever believe that accent or origin or circumstance defines your worth. Because somewhere, someone is watching. Someone who remembers what it's like to be underestimated. Miguel went home that night with a business card that represented everything he'd worked for, a job offer that would change his family's future, and a renewed faith that dignity doesn't require permission from bullies. Hit subscribe if this story reminded you that standing up for others costs nothing but means everything. That real leadership is defending those who cooee and defend themselves. And drop a comment below. Have you ever witnessed someone being humiliated and wished you'd have spoken up?